Do you feel that in a time when we are more connected than ever, we are drifting away from real human connection, especially to ourselves? I do. Hi, I'm Leticia Latino, and I want to invite you to join me and my very inspiring guests in exploring ways to reconnect to your essence, to your definite purpose, to what makes you tick. Are you ready? Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Back to Basics, Reconnecting to the Essence of You. Today, we are diving deep into transformation, resilience, and purpose with the incredible Tiffany Owen, a mindset coach, keynote speaker, and author whose life is a testament to what it means to rise from the ashes and reclaim your power. From surviving addiction, trauma, and the depths of despair to becoming a certified personal trainer and holistic coach, guiding women through mind, body, and soul breakthroughs. Tiffany embodies strength, faith, and fierce authenticity. She's on a mission to help others break free from survival mode, rewrite their stories, and live the lives they were created for. And she lays a path for doing just that in her latest book, From Wounded to Warrior. I'm excited to dig deeper. Hello, Tiffany, and welcome to Back to Basics.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I know that every journey is different and exciting, but just doing the research, and you were so kind to give me your book, which is amazing, and there's so much there that we're gonna try to tackle all the highlights of the your resilient journey, so that we can inspire the most people. So I always, as my audience knows, like to learn a little bit more about, just the younger version of yourself. What were you passionate about? Were you always into fitness? I mean, obviously you look great. You share with me that you have, or you're already a grandmother. So anybody seeing this video, and if you're not seeing the video, go look at the video. This is what you can achieve when you get Tiffany
at any age.
as a fitness and mindset coach. But tell me a little bit more about those young years.
Yeah. Before we dive into that, I think it's very important to remind your listeners to give Back to Basics a 5-star review, share the episode. I don't think listeners realize how much work it is to do a podcast and inspire others. And if we don't remind our people to share and review, people that need to hear this won't hear it. So make sure you do that. We get into the listening part and we forget to do that. So I just want to remind your listeners.
No, that's very kind of you. And I'm very bad at doing that because I'm in sales for a living. I never like to push people, but yes, please rate and review if you enjoy the episode.
Isn't that correct? So I will do it for you. And it buys me a little bit of time to answer your question.
Oh, you're a pro.
Yeah, I have been a certified personal trainer for 24 years. I've been in sales. I was a stay-at-home mom for most of my twins' life, and they are turning 14 today. When you ask, and I was listening to your podcast, people about like what were you passionate about when you were younger? My mind doesn't go into anything positive. So I'm going to change the tone just a little bit because I really want, if you're listening, I want you to lean in, because if you are in a state of feeling stuck or hopeless, my story can dramatically change your life and you will hear what is possible. I was a mess when I was a teenager. I was looking for attention wherever I could get it. I was an overachiever, a perfectionist. I was very, good at school, but I kind of raised myself, and my parents did the best they can. And I write about it in my book, but it led me to abusive relationships, drinking a lot, experimenting with drugs and sex and different things because I wanted attention and I didn't want anyone to leave me. I had this huge fear of abandonment at a very young age, and my trauma started very early. So while on the outside I looked like everything was good because I worked, I was responsible, I made straight A's, I was involved in all the things, I was a total mess. So looking back, and I wrote a letter to a younger version of myself in my book.
Mm.
I didn't think I would live to be this old because I tried to kill myself for the fourth time 3.5 years ago.
Oh my God,
So I was
Tiffany.
fighting the mental health battle and addiction and overcoming trauma all the way up until 3.5 years ago.
Wow, that's thanks for sharing that because I imagine it's but I know you do it in your book and that's we were talking about this. It's so important to share it because people see you and I mean just the way you look and so accomplished and all these things and people don't think others are going through tough times. And so the fact that you share it and it's not just one battle, it's a continuous battle that we go through life, like mental health, being in a good position. Now, on the younger years, though, just because you're saying I was a good student, you define like probably as a parent what you want in a child. Could you
Absolutely.
pinpoint where that need from raising yourself or attention was coming from? Like, what do you think was the source of that?
The first thing that comes to my mind is my parents traveled a lot with work when start for well my mom and dad were married for 16 years but overall my mom was been married 5 times, my dad's been married 5 times. I was an only child with them, and so I think it's a little bit important to explain the dynamic of my life because it was very not the typical family dynamic.
Mm,
And so I had this huge fear of abandonment because, and now that I've done all the work and dug deep into my trauma and overcome that, I just wanted their attention and they were never there because they were making a living. I've
yeah, yeah.
forgiven them. And then I ended up in a very abusive relationship when I was 15, and I ended up marrying him. He's my daughter's dad. I was married 4 times by the time I was 29.
Oh,
I
wow.
kept marrying abusive men or getting into toxic relationships. And so I defined myself, and maybe some of your listeners can relate. I defined myself in such a way that everybody who loves me, leaves me, or abuses me. And
Mm.
so my brain, now that I know about the reticular activating system, was looking for evidence to support what I believed.
That's
So
powerful there. And
that's
if you don't
powerful.
mind, just because I don't know thing about whatever reticular, did you say
Yes, the
reticular?
reticular. Oh, this is going to be a good conversation.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah. Let's dig
reticular
into that.
activating system.
So,
So the RAS for short.
okay.
So that's the part of your brain. So knowledge is power. So I really want you to listen to this and your listeners, because the more you know about how your brain works, the easier it is to rewire it and create a new narrative and a new identity and overcome. So the RAS is the part of your brain that when you say buy a white car, you buy a new car and it's white. You never notice all the white cars on the street, but when you buy the white car or your brand of car or whatever, I'm not a car person, but this is the first thing. You see all the cars that are like your cars.
Yes.
So you find what you're looking for. Okay. So, and what you focus on grows. And what you think about, you bring about. I love all the little one-liners from Joe Dispenza and Wayne Dyer. So
Yes.
that's the part of your brain that will, when you get focused on something, you'll start seeing those things. Like I had twins. I had never really noticed people having twins. And then I have twins, and then I see all kinds of moms that have twins. Like
Yes.
that didn't just happen because I had twins, it was always there.
Mm. That's
I just
powerful.
wasn't
Yes.
focused on it. So the negative side of that is if we are defining ourselves in a certain way, like I'm ADHD, I'm a perfectionist, I'm OCD. We put these labels on ourselves, especially as women. I'm a mess. Your brain will go to work to find evidence to support that.
Mm.
So
Oh, yeah.
with what I do with mindset coaching, I help my clients redefine their identity, create a new narrative, and then their brain will go to work looking for evidence to support that new identity.
Mm. That's amazing.
So the more I said everybody, because I was a victim and I had every right to be a victim. I was, raped by my half brother when I was 23. I tried to kill myself 4 times. Everybody that I was in a relationship was abusive, sexual abuse, all unwanted abortion. I found out my dad wasn't my real dad when I was 29. I was conceived by an anonymous sperm donor from a sperm bank. I
Oh
have like
my God,
23 half
Tiffany.
siblings. So I absolutely was a victim.
Wow.
But that was not serving me.
Mm.
So I had to take personal responsibility for every area of my life and find a new identity that I didn't feel or believe yet, but I knew what I aspired to be. And then I started looking for evidence. My brain started going to work for evidence to support that. And then eventually I have become who I was meant to be.
Wow. First of all, my admiration because I've had guests that maybe at one of the many things you just mentioned that are obviously as traumatizing as one can get happened to them. One, and that's the whole episode. And you just like flew through like all these bad experiences that you've had through life, and I'm sorry for them. But I just admire the fact that you say, well, yeah, all that bad stuff happened and you're almost making it, I can tell by how you're telling the story, it's intentionally not wanting to bite into that victim thing. And I'm not gonna just go into detail of what happened and how it happened and all. Yeah, it happened,
Mhm.
but I'm not letting those things define me. And I think that's
Yeah.
very powerful. And for the audience, right before off camera, let's say, you say nothing is off limits. I love that about you, that you're very open to share because you know that you can inspire more people. So anybody out there listening right now that has a bad situation, which everybody has their cross. I mean, we all know that there's something bad happening for somebody in different
Yes.
aspects. This is a great example on how you say no to like being the victim. I'm sure it wasn't easy. So you say, okay, this happened at 23, this happened, then potentially that's
Yeah.
why you had those recurring suicidal attempts.
Mhm.
How did
Mhm.
you, obviously, that awakening and that didn't come immediately. And I think that's where a lot of people get frustrated. Like they want to get out of a bad situation and the victim mentality, but it just doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of discipline and
Mhm.
falling and going back up and all that. So,
Yeah.
how do you define that as how can you keep uh, just standing up to a bad situation when it happens?
So if you are listening, I hope you don't have to hit a bottom like I did. It had to become life or death for me to truly dig myself out of the hole that I was in and participate in my own rescue. No one was coming to rescue me. And as soon as I realized I had to get uncomfortable and take personal responsibility for every area of my life, I couldn't change. And I'll share a little story. The first time I went to a treatment center in my late 20s, I was addicted to prescription pain pills. And I actually had a condition that caused pain. Doctors prescribed them to me, you know. But I was so uncomfortable with who I was and what I was going through. I did whatever I could to change the way I felt. I felt so uncomfortable in my body. And I would justify my actions by what happened to me. And until I started looking at life happening for me, I was going to stay a victim. And I was in my 20s, and I went to see the psychiatrist at the treatment center, and I was 28 or 29. And he was telling me, well, what's your part in this? And we were talking about like rape, abuse, and I could not wrap my mind around what was my part in it because he wasn't very loving about it. And I wasn't obviously ready to receive it in that moment. But it triggered something in me that made me very upset and defensive. And uh, normally, what we need the most, we resist the most. That's what I've learned. And it didn't click until I started when I went to write my book after my last rock bottom. So what made me change is my fourth suicide attempt. My drinking had gotten out of control. I was very successful in my business, six-figure earner. I was supporting my family. I have a wonderful husband, four children, and I was just self-sabotage. And I was justifying what I was doing because I was very successful in providing. I was working out. I was, doing all the things, but I had to hit a bottom, and that created change. And then I had to reevaluate what was my part in it. Because if I could own my part, take responsibility for everything that's happened in my life and to me, then I could get my power back. And this can be controversial, especially when talking about rape victims, because some people can hear this the wrong way. So I'm going to say it with a pure heart. But I'll give you an example. I took responsibility for my half brother raping me when I was 23 by saying, what was my part? I should not have been drinking the way I was drinking. And I blacked out and I was drinking.
Mm.
This
Mm.
doesn't get him off the hook, but by owning my part, I got my power back. I was able to look at the people who hurt me with compassion
Mm-hmm.
and forgive them. So it
Mm.
served me to own my part because I can't control other people or wait for them to change to heal me, but I can control my part and how I process it.
Mm. That's very interesting, and I would assume for my part, it takes courage. It takes courage to stand up and say, yes, this bad thing happened, but if I hadn't done this and this and this, it might have not happened. And sometimes I think that the comfortable position is to blame 100% on the other party. And that's why I think that's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy in terms of like just keep telling that story where you have no saying. So yeah, that's very powerful in terms of how you achieve that kind of forgiveness for him and for yourself putting yourself in that situation.
Yeah, and I write about it in my book. So my book is I'm telling these stories like I'm sharing with you, but in each chapter I share the tools that I use to overcome it because I think
Mm-hmm.
that is very important. And like you just said, the self-fulfilling prophecy is the reticular activating system in your brain recreating the past over and over again because you keep identifying with it. So we have
Mm-hmm.
so much power to free ourselves.
Yeah, and I love the concept that you share about coming to your own rescue. I think that's extremely powerful because I once read in a book, it's if you're not your main cheerleader or your main supporter, and I tell this to my kids all the time. It's like you got you. Your parents are here, they're gonna support you, but at some point in life, you only have you.
Yes.
And every time I think of this, every time I go to a medical exam, right? When you're having the mammogram, or you having every year to do those tests that you're a little bit afraid and you see yourself there. Nobody's coming to your rescue. You are there. You have to go through the courage to go through the moment. And the same is true with all these experiences we go in our daily life, where we don't realize that we are all we got as an individual. And once you step into that power that you share in the book, then you can use the tools like how not to
Yeah.
self sabotage. I think that's also very powerful in terms
Yeah.
of what you share.
Absolutely.
Yes, I absolutely love that. So you, of course, wrote the book to try to help others. You have your fitness and mindset coaching. Was that something easy that you get when you step into your life purpose, which is very evident? You see your
Yeah.
smile when you talk about it, and you see
Yeah.
how fit you are. And I mean, you definitely
Yeah.
can tell you're living in alignment with what the purpose is. That doesn't mean there's no challenges or it's a constant growth. Did that come easy to you in terms of choosing how to be a mindset coach and fitness
Yeah.
coach?
No. No,
Uh,
it did not. And going back to what we need the most, we resist the most. So I've been in personal training for 24 years. And then I did some sales with some nutrition types coaching. And I was encouraged by my husband and some other clients that I had to do something with fitness. And being in the industry for this long, and I've been successful at helping people. And I have my own transformation. I didn't always look like this. And so my motto or my tagline is transform your mind and your body will follow. I knew when I started this virtual platform a little over 3 years ago that I didn't want to give anyone a workout without doing mindset work. I didn't want, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can't just do a diet. You can't just do a workout. You have to work on your mindset. And I live a congruent life. I don't ask my clients to do anything I wouldn't do or that I haven't done already. And so I decided to do this model that I do now. It's very holistic. We work on, nutrition, mind, body, spirit, community. It's a holistic approach, and I don't know of any other fitness professional that is doing something like I'm doing. And it works. It's more intensive, but it works for lifelong transformation. So I decided that I was going to do this, but I didn't know what it looked like. And I used some of the tools, and when we say tools, like in a therapeutic way, different coaches and therapists and counselors have different tools that they use. But I wanted to teach my people, my clients, what I was doing that helped me. I wanted them to model. And that's what I talk about in my book. I share a lot of those tools. And that is creating a new narrative. Like I help them write a declaration paragraph that we write every single morning. What's your morning routine? What are your non-negotiables? Boundaries, community, accountability. I empower them and educate them on nutrition. I give them workouts, but they have to do them on their own. So that part's not easy. It wasn't easy for me to let go of control and do this scared. Like I'm going to attach my name to this model, but I have to trust these people to do it without me being there. And it works. I have countless testimonials and transformations from clients as old as 74 to as young as 24 all over the world. And
wow.
this model works, and it's just gotten better over the years. I have a whole team that helps me coach people
Mm.
now, and it's beautiful, but it wasn't easy because I am healing, or I was healing with my clients on this journey, and I am grateful that they trust me and they are doing it too, and it's working for them. But it was not
Mm.
easy to get started. I was scared to death because I had to let go of a 6-figure business to step into something new that I started from the ground up.
Well, that's as inspiring as it gets, and I think the model works because, as you say, you were going through it, and I know in the book you talk about something that I think it's important that we highlight because people they start seeing results, all is good, but if they gone through trauma, there's triggers in real life, and survivors get into certain situations and maybe fall back into or go backwards just because daily life brings you activates those triggers. And so can you give any examples on how to manage, because I think that's probably one of the things that creates the break
Yeah.
once you're doing, like, it's almost like if you're on a diet, it's simple example, and then you eat a piece of cake, it's almost like people feel, oh, I let go of everything I've done, and then
Yeah.
it's off the bandwagon. And so how to manage those things, I think, is very powerful.
Very powerful. And I'm not sure when this will air, but we are coming into the holiday season. And I was just on a one-on-one Zoom with one of my clients. I was like, what do you think would be good to talk about during this time? And she mentioned people pleasing. I think so many of
Mm,
us, and this will circle back to what you're saying, so many people are scared to say no
yeah,
when
that's true.
they're on a health journey or transformation journey. They're not willing to say no to something to say yes to something else. So if you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And I say no a lot. And I had zero self worth. So if you're listening to this and you have just started over 1,000 times, like most of the world has or does, because it's human, your self worth goes down every time you don't follow through with a commitment that you make to yourself.
Mm,
So, what's awesome about my coaching model is being able to work with my clients in real time because they'll be really good and have all this momentum and they're all in the first month or so. But then something happens, life happens, a birthday party, a tragic event. And I get to work through with them through that. And we start by setting up non negotiables. Like, what's something you can do even on your worst day? Because we have to build integrity with ourselves. So, the
mhm,
biggest reason people fail is because they have a lack of integrity. And that's really a lack of integrity with themselves. They
mm,
will say, they'll do things for people and they'll make promises to people or their family, and they always follow through with those promises. But when you are following through with a promise that you make to yourself, you put yourself on the back burner. So we have to learn how to put ourselves first. And just by creating what we call a power promise, that will set a foundation, which is I'm going to do this even on my worst day. And that could be something as simple as making your bed.
mhm.
Small,
Yes.
start very small because most of the time people are very broken like I was when they come to me. So like I just met with someone and she could hardly talk because she's not used to people caring about her.
Mm,
And so how do you build self-worth? How do you build self-love? It's by honoring the commitments that you make to yourself, one thing at a time, getting 1% better every day. And then we build on that. But that is a process. So that's why I require at least a 90-day commitment. We have to work through this. And so helping people establish boundaries and non-negotiables, power promises, sharing, focusing on wins because what you focus on grows. So I teach them how to find wins throughout their day. I have an app that we record our wins and we share them. So I have all kinds of little tricks to set this foundation where when something happens that's going to knock them off the path, we will be able to reel it back in and learn from it. So life happens for us and not to us.
mm. Yeah, that's very good, and I imagine that that's something that, as a parent, we try to instill certain things like that in our kids' mindsets, right? But if you don't have that on the get go, on all the early years, then that's a problem. And I see when we've had guests, and usually when they say those 7 years are so important, and it seems like, oh, come on, 7 years is like so early, and they barely. But it's so true that the importance of the early years in another human being's life. And then if we are not stable ourselves, and then we are parenting others, it just gets harder and harder and harder to
Yeah.
transfer some of those skills that then we have to retrain ourselves and relearn it, and just
Yeah.
so that we can get to a better place. That's all amazing. So of course everything is going to be on the show notes about your coaching, about the book. If you could give your younger, I mean, you wrote a letter to your
Mhm.
younger self in the book, so let's not give too much away. But if you could say, like, there's a one takeaway that you would, one piece of advice that you would give your younger self, what would it be?
The first thing that comes to my mind, and it probably changes depending on where I am in life, but keep going.
Hmm.
Keep going. There is hope. It will get better. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And there's nothing real but this present moment. I had never, I mean, most people have never even heard that. But if you can really understand that, and if I could tell my younger self or teach my younger self that, everything would be different because it's not the problem that's a problem. It's how we're looking at the problem that's a problem.
Mm.
Right.
I like
And
that.
so if we're thinking about the past, worried about it, sad about it, or worried about the future, you are not present. So breathe, keep going. I remind myself that there's nothing real but this present moment and everything is perfect.
Mm. Oh, it's great advice, and it sounds like that's exactly what you kept doing. You kept going, and look where you are. So, instinctively, intuitively,
Yeah.
that's kind of the advice you follow anyway, even if you then had all the other situations. But obviously, you did not stop, thank God,
Yeah.
and you kept going, and now you're helping others, and that's I mean, beyond inspirational that you now have committed to bring this authenticity, because I love the fact that you said nothing is off limit, let's talk about everything. And I think that's, people need to hear those stories, because we idolize the others, no, like the grass is always greener, and you see this picture of what's beautiful, and then you learn that everybody really has struggles one way or the other, and so they say,
Yeah.
ah, I'm not alone.
Yeah. And that's what I want your listeners to get from this. I want them to feel seen, valued, heard, and know that they're not alone. And if you want to, like, I've been through so much more, and it's in the book. And if I can share every little aspect, and other people just know, oh, it's not just me, that changes everything for people when they know it's not just me. Or if she's feeling that way, it's okay for me to feel this way. Because look at her, you know.
Yes, yes. And it helps you. I think that also gratitude is at the core of happiness. And so it helps you realign gratitude. Like when you see what other people have had to experience, and if you've been blessed enough to not have had to experience that, that already brings a gratitude opportunity,
Mhm.
that you say, well, thank you that I, did not have to go through that.
Yeah.
And it really helps that reframing into, maybe I'm not a victim in that sense, but I've also been blessed in another way.
Mhm.
And I think that's also a way to, like, just gain more self-confidence and appreciation for life in general.
I agree.
Yeah. So, Tiffany, if you, well, I always like to give my guests a chance to share anything else that,
Mhm.
obviously, we could do a whole series with you, because of
We'll
every
have to do a
single,
part two. We'll have to dive into the
yeah,
brain science about the.
everything, yes, everything, like every, um, experience you have, and how you brought science into it. I learn about our RAS with you.
Yeah,
So
the
I always like,
reticular activating system. Look it up.
Yes, I have my
I
note
talk
here.
about it. It's in my book. I do talk about it in my book.
Ah, perfect, perfect. So I definitely want to learn more about it. I always feel blessed with my podcast because I learn so much just by having these
I
conversations.
know. It's so cool.
Yes,
Yeah, so I'm super excited. Can I share my surprise? Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Sure.
So this is for specifically for your listeners. I put this together so you can't find it on the internet anywhere. This is for your Back to Basics community. I'm going to gift
Okay.
everyone something I normally reserve for my paying clients. So this was a paid event. It's called the Aligned and Alive Breakthrough Experience. Aligned and Alive Breakthrough Experience. So this is for anyone. Um, so what you're going to get is my exclusive Breakthrough Day content that I did. I'm going to share that
Mm.
with you. A hormone balancing meal plan, kind of a little bit of a sample of what I share with my clients, and with some really great recipes. I don't do a normal meal plan. It's all whole foods, hormone balancing, metabolism boosting type stuff. I have a
Wow.
certified nutrition specialist who sports nutritionist who writes my meal plans for my
Oh,
clients.
wow. Oh,
I'm
wow.
also going to share one of my full body workouts, and I'm going to give you a video and a written copy. So they're made for busy people. Most of my clients work out from home with minimal equipment because everyone's busy. A lot of women especially don't want to go to the gym. They don't feel confident enough. So I'm going to share one of my workouts, and as long as I have the capacity to do this, I'm going to do a one-on-one strategy Zoom with whoever claims this free gift. So all you have to do to get it is just message me on my Facebook or Instagram. And I think you're going to share the links for that.
Yes,
The
yes, I will.
keyword alive.
Okay,
You can
great.
you can also go to my website, coachtiffanyowen.com, and you can message me the keyword there too.
Awesome. Well, thank you on behalf of the Back to Basics audience. That's amazing. It's like, oh, okay, that's that. It's valid for the host too, right?
Yeah. Yes. I was like, why
I'm
not?
kidding.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
I'd love
I'm
to give you
kidding.
little samples.
No, I'm already enjoying the book. I'm getting so much. But I thank you. I know you have these also like retreats that you do. It's gonna be on your webpage. That
Yeah.
sounds
I
amazing.
just got back from the retreat Monday that we hosted. We did it on a cruise this year. Last year we did it in the mountains.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds incredible.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
so you should all look it up because it's nothing like a little retreat to like recharge and just come back. And I'm sure people make friends and you gain also a community. And it just sounds,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Very much. It's amazing. We're already planning our next one. So that will go up on the site pretty soon. Mhm.
Awesome, awesome. Well, my last question, and you've heard my episodes
I
before, is
have.
all about what makes us tick. And I mean, there's obviously with somebody like you, I'm imagine like eating well, doing all these things. But it really, when you look back into even the tough times, uh, recent 3 years ago, and you feel like I know I'm meant to do more, but today I don't feel I'm connected with my source. I don't feel I'm ticking. How do you get out of that?
Yeah. So when you ask the question, what makes you tick? I have to be honest. Where I'm from, that means what triggers you. What
Okay.
makes you angry? What makes you mad?
That you see,
Has
first
anybody
time I've
ever told you?
always
That's the
no.
first thing that came to me was when you said that. And of course, as I keep listening, I'm like, oh, but when I heard you ask that question, that's where my mind went. Isn't
Interesting.
that interesting?
That
So,
is.
so you always want to like make sure, am I hearing the person correctly? Right.
Well,
So,
you can answer
yeah.
both ways.
Yeah. What triggers me? uh, Not much anymore, but I
That's
used,
good. That's good.
everything used to trigger me.
Mm,
So yeah, I want to my mission, and I think this is for everyone, is to empower others to become radically transformed into the person they were created to be.
mm.
And my pain is my purpose, and anyone can turn their pain into their purpose. It's a choice. And so what keeps me going, makes me tick, is my mission to show people what's possible when they take responsibility in their life and they participate in their own rescue. And how I do that is through my coaching and doing these interviews and sharing everything very vulnerably.
That's very powerful, Tiffany. So I love that. Helping others be the person they were created to be. That definitely, if that doesn't make you tick out there, you listener, then you really need to go to Tiffany's coaching page immediately and start the
Yeah.
work, because that's definitely as inspiring as it gets. So
Yeah. If I can go from suicidal alcoholic victim to where I am now, and I'm still growing and learning, anybody can do anything.
mm,
There's no excuses. So the coach,
yeah.
like wanting to call people out, no one has an excuse. And especially after hearing this, now that you have awareness, it's up to you to take action.
Mm, yes, having awareness, big one you threw out there for the grand finale. Once you see, you cannot not unsee,
Yes.
and that's big. So thank you, Tiffany, for sharing and for the gift to the audience, and just for showing up and help others transform. You're truly inspirational, and really congratulations on everything you have achieved.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being an inspiration and doing this podcast.
Uh, Thank you. And as Tiffany shared at the beginning, please, if you like the episode, share and review, and just reach out with the word alive, and get moving. And this will air in time for the holidays, so it will be good New Year's resolutions for sure. Thank
Perfect.
you all, and until a new episode of Back to Basics. Bye bye. You've been listening to Back to Basics. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. If you haven't yet, subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on Apple Podcast or any of your favorite streaming platforms. This is the best gift you can give us. Join me next week for another Back to Basics conversation. And if you want to find out about other exciting things I'm working on, visit leticialatino.com. Thank you, and until the next time.